Hi, in this video we will talk about data migration using the transportable tablespace. Say for example, we have a requirement to migrate the data from one platform to another platform. Here the source and the target could be Solaris, Linux, AX, HP Unix, Windows or Apple Mac OS or IBM Power Systems. To verify if our source and target are supported for transportable tablespace, we can make use of this view, $transportable underscore platform. Also, we need to verify this from two perspectives, from the OS perspective and from the DB perspective. From the OS, we can verify if our source and target OS are supported. The next thing from the OS is to verify the Indianness of our operating system. If the Indianness of both the source and target are same, we don't need to convert the data. But if they are different, then we need to do the conversion. We have big Indian format and little Indian format. These describe how the multi-byte data is stored, and it is a characteristic of our hardware. Say for example, our data is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And in a big Indian format, the most significant bytes are stored first. That is, data will be stored in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Whereas in a little Indian format, the least significant bytes are stored first. So it will be stored here 7, 8, 5, 6, 3, 4, and 1, 2. So if we are migrating from one Indian format OS to another Indian format OS, we need to do this conversion. And this conversion can be done either at the source side or on the target side. And that is from the OS perspective. But from the DB perspective also, we have few prerequisites. The character set of our source environment and our target environment should be the same, or the target's character set is a superset of our source environment. Character set defines the characters that we are storing in our database. And on our target side, we should be able to store all the characters that are available on the source side. And regarding the database compatibility, the source and the target should be having the same compatibility level, or the target's compatibility level should be greater than the source's compatibility level. We also need to ensure that we have the same database options and same components installed on our target side. And if we have any tables with a timestamp with local time zone data type, and if the source and target time zone is different, then we cannot transport such data directly. Either we will have to modify the time zone on the target side or use the conventional export import to import such data after the transportable tablespace operation completes. Also on the target side, we need to ensure that the sizes of log files and the number of members of each log file group on the target are same or larger than the source database. Also, in a transportable tablespace operation, after handling few prerequisites, we copy the tablespace data from source to target. We copy the tablespaces data or tablespaces data files data from source to the target. The tablespace might contain hundreds or thousands of tables data, and the metadata of these tables is stored in the dictionary on the source side. And we need to copy this dictionary to the target side. To copy the dictionary, we make use of the export data pump and the import data pump. I am repeating this step again. After handling few prerequisites, we copy the tablespace data or tablespaces data files data from source to the target. The table space might contain hundreds or thousands of tables data. And the metadata for those tables will be sitting in the dictionary on the source side. We also need to copy the dictionary information of these tables from source to target side. And for that, we make use of the export data pump and import data pump operation. And further, if the INDNS is different on the source and target, we will have to do the conversion. If we want to do the conversion on the source side, we can run this command. Connect arm and target slash and convert to tablespace name to platform, and we specify the target platform here, and in the format we specify the path where we want to hold the data files and the source. Once we converted the data files, we can copy those converted data files into the target side. So this thing, we are converting the data files and the source, and the converted data files are copied to the target side. So the data files are converted on the source side here using this command. And if we plan to do the conversion of the data files on the source side, we will need to do that after we perform the export operation on the source side. That is, once we export the metadata on the source side, then we will have to do the conversion of the data files on the source side. On the other hand, if we plan to do the conversion of the data at the target side, that is, we copy the data as is from source to destination, and we plan to do the conversion of the data at the destination. Then before we do the import operation of its metadata, we need to do the conversion. And before the metadata is imported into the target side, the table space is still not accessible. Hence, we refer to each data file in the conversion command. So we convert each data file on the target side. So we connect to arm and target slash, and we convert to data file name to platform. We specify the target platform, and from platform, we specify the source platform. And db file name convert. After we convert the data file, what is the final location, or what is the location where we want to place the data files? So we specify that using the db file name convert, the existing data file location which is not converted, and the final location of the data files after conversion. And we can make use of the parallelism to speed up the operation. And if we are not making use of Oracle ASM, specifying this thing is not mandatory. To platform and from platform is not mandatory. Okay, moving on to practical, we have Solaris and Linux environments. Solaris is our source environment and Linux is our target environment. We have 19C databases on both of them. The one in the blue color is our Solaris environment, and the one in the black color is our Linux environment, Oracle Linux environment. And we want to migrate the data of users tablespace from our Solaris to Linux environment. First, we need to verify few details for that. If we want to get a list of all the operating systems that are supported for transportable tablespace migration, we can use this thing, transportable_platform. And if we want to understand our environment is supported for that, we can use this query. So the target side, it is a Linux x86, and it is of a Little Indian format, and it is supported for transportable tablespace migration. And on the source side, it is of Solaris operating system, and it is also of Little Indian format. So here the data conversion is not required, as both the Indian formats are the same. Next step is to check the prerequisites at the database level. One of them is to verify the character set. So this is my character set detail on the source side, and on my target side, this is my character set details. So my character set are matching on both the source and target. Next thing is to verify the database compatibility. So it is 19C on my source and 19C on my target. So both the source and the target database compatibility is matching. Once all these prerequisites are met, then we can proceed further. Now we need to verify if the table space is self-contained. We may migrate a single table space or a group of table spaces, which is called a table space set. We need to verify if the table space set is self-contained, meaning no objects in this table space set should have any relations with other tables or objects residing in other table spaces which we are not migrating. Say for example, if we are migrating a table space set which is having a partitioned table, then all of the partitions should be in the table space set which we are migrating. If we have any partitions in another table spaces, and if we are not migrating that table space, it is a violation. Similarly, if we have a parent-child relationship, both the parent table and the child table should be in the table space set which we are migrating. If either of them is in another table space, and if we are not migrating that table space, it is a violation. Similarly, if we are having a table with a large object in the table space set which we are migrating, then both the table and the large object should be part of the table space set which we are migrating. If the large object is in another table space which we are not migrating, it is a violation. So we need to ensure that this thing is considered. And for that, they have provided the DBMS underscore TTS package. And we can verify if the table space or table space set is self-contained using the transport set check procedure. And it is recommended that we run it with the full check, TTS full check parameter to true. Meaning it is not just about outgoing relations. It also considers that there should be no incoming relations into the table space set which we are migrating. It is written here. A full containment check ensures that there are no dependencies going outside or coming into the transportable set. So we need to run this transport set check procedure in the DVMS underscore TTS package with full containment check set to true. So to do that check, we need to run this command dbms underscore tts dot transport set check and the table space set list. Here we are only transporting the user's table space and we want to verify for the constraints and full check is true. It specifies not just for the outgoing references or outgoing pointers, but also for the incoming pointers. There should not be any relations with other table spaces. This thing ensures that our table space is completely independent. So we run this thing. Once this procedure is completed, if there are any violations, it will be listed under this table. We do not have any violations now, so we are good to proceed further. To proceed further, there are multiple steps involved. To make it clear, I will just give a high-level overview of the steps and I will show them practically. Now, we need to put the table space or the table space set which we are migrating in read-only mode on the source side and take a metadata dump of the table space set. Once we have the metadata dump, we need to copy the metadata dump along with the table spaces data files to the target site. If both the Indian formats are same, there is no need to convert the data. However, in your case, if the Indian format of the source and the target is different, Now is the step you need to do the conversion. And if you plan to do the conversion at source, you can make use of this command and specify the path where you plan to hold the data files. However, if you want to do the conversion of the data files on the target site, just copy the data files after you take the metadata dump, copy the metadata dump of the tablespace, and as well as the tablespace or tablespace set data files into the target site, and do the conversion on the target site using these commands. Once you do the conversion and you have the data files in the required Indian format on the target side, then do the metadata dump import operation pointing to the data files. So the tablespace is now copied to the target site. And after the metadata dump operation, tablespace is accessible in the database. You just need to convert the tablespace into read-write on the target site. And once everything is completed, you can even convert that into read-write in the source side as well. This is at the high level. Now to take the metadata dump of the tablespace set, it is recommended not to use sysdba user. For that reason, I have created a user xtt underscore user, and I have granted him the privilege to do the export operation. Also, this user's tablespace should be read-writable, and it should not be a part of the tablespace set which we are migrating. For that reason, I have created one more tablespace xtt underscore ts, and I made this as default tablespace for this user. So I repeat, it is not recommended to use sysdba for the metadata dump. For that reason, I created one more user, and I granted him the privilege to take the full database dump. And that user's tablespace should be read-writable, and it should not be a part of a tablespace that we are migrating. For that reason, I have created one more tablespace and made it as a default tablespace for this user. The same way on the target side, while you are doing the metadata dump import, it should not be done as sysdba user. For that reason, I created one more user to do the metadata dump, and I granted him the required privilege. I have created one more tablespace on the target side as well. So on my source side, this is the additional tablespace that is created, and this tablespace will be the default tablespace for the user performing the export dump operation. Similarly, on the target side, this is my tablespace that is created additionally, and this will be the default tablespace for the user performing the metadata import operation. Now let's place the tablespace in read-only mode on the source side. Tablespace is in read-only, and now we can perform the metadata dump. And for that, we can make use of one of these two. The export data pump username dump file directory transport tablespaces. We need to give the list of all the tablespaces that we need to transport. If we have multiple, then A, B, C. We can specify them. And then the log file. However, the second option is having transport full check is equal to Y. This thing verifies if the tablespace set is completely independent, even at the export data pump operations. So it is recommended to make use of this command and take the metadata dump. So it verifies if the tablespace has no outgoing or incoming relations. with other tablespace objects. So I use this command and take the metadata dump of the tablespace. Okay, it took some time and the metadata dump completed. Once this command is run, it lists the metadata dump that needs to be transported along with all the table spaces data files that needs to be transported. Since our Indian format is the same on both source and target, there is no conversion needed. If at all conversion is required in your case, this is the point where you will do the conversion. Okay, now let me copy this dump file containing the metadata and the table spaces data file to the target side. On source side, the data file for the table space is residing in U01 app Oracle or data ORCL user01.dbf. And on the target side, the data files for this database are residing in OPT Oracle or data ORCL. So I will copy this data file to this location and the metadata dump to the location where my directory object is residing. So I have copied both these files on the target side. I have placed this file user01.dbf in the location where my data files are residing, and this is the metadata dump file. Before we run the import operation, on the source side, in the tablespace users, the objects were owned by HR user. Now we need to create the user even on the target side. Otherwise, we will run into an error. If you want to import the objects under a different username, you can do that as well with remap schema option. So now we need to create this user, HR user, on the target side. Now we are good to do the import. For that, I run this command impdp and the username dump file, directory, and the transport to data files. This is the data file that we transported from source to the target. We are pointing to that file and the log file for the import operation. And it is also trying to import these two schemas objects. So I excluded those two schemas objects. So transport to data files and then specify the name of the data file that you are transporting. If there are multiple data files that you are transporting, make use of the parameter file and refer the parameter file in the impdp operation. Let's run this import now. Okay, the import operation completed fine, and it shows it has some compilation errors with these two triggers. Now we see the table space and its status is in read only. Let's compare the objects on the source side and in the target side. On the source, HR user has got 35 objects, and on the target side, HR user has got 29 objects. So let's compare the count by object type. On source, he has got these many objects, and on target, he has just got index, table, and trigger. So The transportable tablespace operation did not create the view on the target site, and it did not create the procedure and sequences. So we will have to copy them manually onto the target site. Once we copy the remaining objects, we can compile the trigger so it become valid. I copied the procedure, sequence, and view manually into the target site and compiled the triggers. So everything is in valid state now. We can do the comparison of the record count. So on my target side, these are the tables that I see. And on my source side, the same is listed here. Let's randomly test. So everything is valid and our target environment is accessible now. We only need to convert the table space which we migrated into read-write mode now. I fixed the permission issue. It was copied as root user. Now the tablespace users is in read-write mode and is accessible by our application. This way we migrated the data from one platform to another platform. And that completes our activity. Thank you.